we're back from vacation. Welcome to another edition of Above the Bridge podcast. This is episode 35. I'm your host, Thaddeus. Shout out to our producer, Boy Band John. What's up, BBJ? All right. Exactly. All right. All right. Shout out to our sponsors. As always, Defend Hawaii, keeping us fresh. If you go on their website, defendhawaii.com, promo code ATBpod, 15% off your entire checkout, promo code ATBpod. Actually, for all my sponsors, our promo code is ATBpod, so it's easy to remember. Also, Detail Garage Hawaii. If you're trying to detail your car, wash it, or whatever, same thing. DetailGarageHawaii.com. Go check out ATBpod, 15% off your entire order. And we got a new sponsor this week. I am proud to announce that Hawaii Candy Factory is now a proud sponsor of the Above the Bridge podcast. If you go on their website, you can get all these crazy nom noms and lihimui gummy candies and sour bells. It's so amazing. If you get the munchies, this is where you go. HawaiiCandyFactory.com. Promo code ATBpod, you'll get 10% off your entire order. Again, this is some good candy, man. The girl dropped this off at my house. It was the night after our first opening of District, and trust me, this came in handy. Okay, so today's guest, I'm super proud to announce he is probably the most requested guest that I have ever had. Everybody's asking when this guy's coming on, and I'm so stoked to bring him on now. Everybody knows him. He's been a friend, a brother, a business partner, a roommate for a little while, and just all around somebody that's awesome and been a huge part of my life. You know him from LevelV808. Also, he's a part owner of Hawaii Events Unlimited. Everybody knows this dude. His name is Hanson. What's up, Hanson?
What's up, guys? What's up, Dad?
Oh, that intro is too many things to list, bro.
Crazy.
So how you been, man? This was crazy freaking 2 years, bro. It's been weird.
it's been crazy. It's been really crazy. The last 2 years, everything's been changing. The last 2 years, I mean, we've had like a 15-year journey path of knowing each other and personal development on both sides of us. And yeah, this last 2 years, a lot of things changed. It's kind of cool. But
yeah.
Hey, first off, thanks for having me on. It's definitely long overdue. I mean, I'm glad we have finally our schedules and timing converged, and I appreciate you having me on, man. It's a pleasure.
Yeah, I'm super honored, and I've always like I said before, everybody's been asking when I'm gonna have you on, and it was just a timing thing. We kind of wanted to use this opportunity to push what you got going on, and then the clubs was reopening. It was like, okay, this could be the perfect time, but of course, as of today, we're shut down again. But hey, man, we had that one night.
yeah.
Bruh, to be honest, we got to reopen about a month ago for the first time. And that first night, District was open and we got to collaborate and do our thing. Yeah. I have not been that excited for a club event for years. It was so much fun. I had anticipation. I was excited. I was hyped. And to be with all you guys and doing what we've been doing for the past over a decade was super cool, man. And I think I had a little too much fun. Ended up getting myself super hammered, but brah, it felt good. And it's just something that we've always done. And because we couldn't for so long, it felt good, man.
No,
how
did you? Yeah, exactly. That 1 year break, I think was kind of needed. I mean, granted, it was a crappy situation, but it made us appreciate it a little bit more because, I mean, it takes a toll staying up to 4 a.m. every weekend. And then that next morning isn't the best, not always the best morning the day after your event. So, doing 10 years of that and having that 1 year of the first 2-3 months was kind of cool. It was like, hey, I got a good break. I can go out. I can go to other places, hang out with friends. I could just sit back and watch Netflix for once on a Friday night, But by that 6 months, we were kind of getting itchy, like everybody, the DJs, the dancers, the staff, and us as promoters who kind of coordinate all that. Yeah, we're kind of getting itchy.
And I realized how much people depend on us to get them gigs or jobs and stuff. And like, oh, our hands are tied, and all these people that we were taking care of or making sure we're good started to feel like, oh, bro, we can't do anything. And you're right. The first couple months was awesome. Everybody's doing push-up videos and Zoom meetings, and it was fun. And it's like, oh yeah, we got the night off. And then, oh, you're right. 6 months later, it's like, brah, let's reopen already. Like,
we start having like ideas and this and that. And when we finally reopened, it felt like one of the first times promoting again. Like you get excited to, you look forward to going to work, especially more than normal. So it was definitely cool. And we have definitely went a little harder than normal that day. That our livers took a year off, and we didn't catch up as fast as we did.
Yeah, that was a bad day. Saturday that week was a bad day for me. And shout out to Real Deal Reed, who brought me home that night and also had to clean his truck the next day. That's all I'm gonna say. He just came by my house yesterday. I called him up. I remember he does the termiting thing. So my dad's doing renovations. So I called him, and he's like, I haven't seen him since that time too, because we closed down for the last 2 or 3 weeks. And he's like, dude, I was like, oh, I had to take care of that. I took him home. I'm like, what do you mean? I was like, well, I thought, because that night I sent you're like, I'm going to my Uber, and I asked if you're all right. You're like, you're fine. And then he said that you're still on your phone half an hour later trying to get the Uber going and stuff. He's like, oh, I'll just take you home. And I was like, oh, I didn't even know all that happened. Yeah, I didn't either.
Yeah.
But let's try and backtrack a bit. So you own Level H, and that's your promotion company. Yeah. Obviously, it's named after you, Level H for Hanson, right?
Yeah.
How did that all start? Because when I was in it, you were kind of already in it also, and it started like we kind of heard about each other, and from then on we kind of formed a friendship. But how did you get started promoting?
Like all my occupations and jobs, it's just a weird situation that I took advantage of at that moment. Before all of the promotion life and the nightclubs and the concerts, I was a dance instructor, and then I was teaching dance classes, and that was my passion. That was my thing. I was teaching classes at UH and at Drill Team Hawaii. I was teaching my own classes at the Honolulu Club and at at University of Hawaii. And then I met a promoter that needed help a new promoter that needed help to get people to come to the club for him. And then he hired my dance team to like do a dance performance. And then he told me, just invite everyone you can to this dance performance. So he hired us, and I think we got like 250 people to show up in like a week and a half notice to come watch.
So he did his job.
No, yeah. So and it was cool because I mean, we performed, and we got to, and we ended up, the performance was only like 2 or 3 minutes long, but all our friends got to dance. And, back in the day, you make your circle and you dance with your friends. So it was a blast. And then at the end, he's like super happy. He's like, you want to do this for a living? I was like, what do you mean? He's like, oh, I'll pay you. You'll get paid to bring people to dance. I was like, that's like what I do now already. So he kind of introduced me to promoting. And from there, I just took off running. And I've been promoting ever since. Yeah, that was.
So you started out. What club was that at?
So that was over at the O Lounge.
Okay, that's right.
So that's where the old China House restaurant used to be, which is now Republic. So depending what generation of clubber you are, that's where you'll line up. So I grew up knowing it as China House Restaurant. That's where like all the big graduations and weddings used to be.
Yeah, the big Buddha in the front.
Yeah, the big Buddha with the gold ceiling, or the platinum gold ceiling. So that and that was connected to Ala Moana at the time.
Yeah, the parking lot was, right?
Yeah. It was part of Ala Moana. And then that got converted into a nightclub. Big shout out to Liz Watanabe. She's the owner over there. And then I started throwing parties over there with Giz and Mike Miller and the Platinum Limousine guys. They had a night there on Friday. And one of the cousins was one of my roommates at the time, or good friends, and he introduced me, and I got promoting there. And then from there, the general manager, Gerald Oda, brought me in as a promotional director. They needed someone to organize all their events because I was just hungry at the time. I was like making proposals, like, oh, you need go-get answers and these kind of lights. And I was like, because it was kind of a bare spot. It was just one big, huge empty room. And it was just a big square, you know? So I was like, oh, we need VIP booths. And I was like running all these proposals, trying to ask the management to do stuff for our promotions. And he's like, why don't you come in-house and work for us to develop stuff like that? And I got to see the nightclub on the back end as like behind the bar, you know, how they run the bar and the nightclub itself.
Do you miss that?
You know, yes and no. I think because you're there every 4 or 5 days a week, you'll build relationships with the people that work in house. And I haven't had a regular job in so long. Like I don't work a 9 to 5. I haven't done it in so long. So like the camaraderie you build when you're working like in the trenches, when there's 500 people and you're trying to organize a promotion and come up with drink specials and do staffing and all that stuff, like it just. And then the doors close, but you still stay there 2 to 3 hours after the club closes to break down and help, see how people break down and, restock. And so you just build a bond. So I kind of missed that portion of it. But, as a promoter, it opened my eyes because after a while, a venue gets stale. Like, I mean, it doesn't always happen, but usually 2 to 3 or 4 years, like everyone's looking for the new spot. They're kind of over it. They want the new trend, So I was there for a good 3 or 4 years, which was great. Like the events I got to do, because I worked in-house and I was an outside third-party promoter, I could utilize the venue as best as I could, to change things up. I didn't have to go through all the red tape of asking the owner, asking the general manager, getting back to the man. I could just do it, So I got
that must have felt liberating.
Yeah, I could do some crazy events, and I got the couple guys to work for me, like Tono and Brian and Reese and all those guys who became my lifelong friends. And we just came up with some crazy ideas. And then we first came up with bottle service in Hawaii by accident. I don't think anybody was really doing it. We just started, like different groups came in to celebrate birthdays and car clubs, and we just reserved sections for them. And then by necessity, we're bringing bottles because people couldn't serve the amount of people that were there in the area. So it was cool. And we started putting like motorcycles in the club, and we putting cars into the club and all kinds of special effects and ice luges. And we were just doing some just stuff it wasn't even a job. It was just for us to have fun. We just happened to get paid and paid well for it, So it was just liberating to be on both ends. But then,
so I remember your guys' events, and they were heavily backed by the import model and car industry. I think your events was Deuced and Force, correct?
Yep.
So we as promoters were at Olange before you guys, and then we left and you kind of came in, but you totally changed the vibe of that club. And I remember we'd go in there and it would be like wall to wall, just half naked chicks, hot people, super nice cars. And the vibe was just a party vibe. And it was so much influenced by the import scene. And at that time, the import scene was huge. And a lot of the go-go scene in Hawaii was just taking off. I remember my sister would work the door for you guys sometimes.
Yeah. Before I knew your sister.
Yeah.
She would help us out at the door. That's so strange.
Yeah. But yeah, I forget how that happened.
I don't even know how that happened too.
Yeah.
I think we knew another door girl who knew that your sister did the door for you, and whenever I needed an extra person, she would work for us.
Was it D?
I think it had to be D. It had to be D. Because she was working our door for a long time. But
then, because that was my girlfriend at the time, and then she would want to go dance for us, so she sent my sister over to you guys to take her place.
What probably happened.
That's what happened.
Yeah. See, so that was like the golden era of nightclubbing, where every promoter had a packed party. Now it's like all the promoters got to collaborate to throw one good party. But back then, like everyone, 4 or 5 different nightclubs were doing 800 people each, just everyone was going out and intermingling and having fun and just, and it just being social. That's pretty much what it was.
It was fun too, because when our event was done, we could go visit other people's events. And that's not the case now, because there's only pretty much 1-2 clubs left. But back then you could go to 4 or 5 clubs in one night and it would be raging, all of them. Like you said.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
And I always blame social media for that, but Everybody heard that.
That's our theory. That's our theory.
Yeah.
Honestly, that's what it is. The person to person interaction is kind of gone. Like everyone is on their feeds and meeting people online versus we didn't have that. We'd have to go out and meet people.
Yeah.
I think my parties first got popular because my first event was Be Social Fridays. I don't know if you remember that, but when the girls came in, they got a number. And when the guys got in, they got a number. And they would just wander around. If you found your match, you can go to the bar and get a free drink.
What? That's such an awesome idea.
That was because like it was awkward. I didn't really nightclub before all of this. I would maybe go just to dance with 4 or 5 of my friends, and then I wouldn't know anybody in the place. And for a dancer, it's a little different. Like you're in your own world. You're doing moves. You dance and you don't even drink that much. You have a few drinks and then you leave. But when you're an actual nightclubber and you're not that into dancing, or you're not a professional dancer, like you're kind of trying to find your angle to talk to somebody, like a lot of times people try to hit on the bartender, or you're trying to try and guess what kind of drink this girl wants or what guy wants, whatever. But we figured when we do the matching numbers, it was a way to make people automatically have an icebreaker. And that's kind of what got my parties on the map.
Yeah. And your parties were off the chain. It was such a cool vibe. And I got to go to a few, but do you remember the first time me and you interacted was, unfortunately we were at the O Lounge. It was one of my best friend Frank's bachelor party, and we were somewhere, and then we were going to go O Lounge because I think Vertical Junkies night was there.
Yep.
And, the owner, Liz, she had something against Ronnie, who was the owner of Artist Groove Network at the time, and for some crazy reasons they didn't jive with each other. So we come in there, had me and the rest of Artist Groove Network and our friends, and you come up to us and was just like super, not embarrassed, but very respectful, but you just did. I could tell you didn't want to have to tell us what you had to tell us. And you had to tell us that Ronnie had to get the fuck out of there. And the way you did it, I was like, bruh, I know Hanson doesn't want to do this. I know it's his job. But the professionalism and the manner that you handled that situation, I was like, oh, like Hanson's kind of a good dude. Like, and I didn't know much about you. I just knew you threw these ragers with all these import models. So I'm like, obviously, like he's got something going on, but the integrity you had behind that conversation, and you're like, oh, if Thad can stay, Peter can stay, but Ronnie gotta go. And the maturity and how you handle that always stuck with me. I knew you didn't want to do it, and I knew it was hard, and I knew like you just didn't want to do it, but you handled it cool, and I always respected you for that. Ronnie might not have, but he's cool with you now. But fuck them.
I bet. I was like, oh man, my first interaction with you was me trying to kick all you guys out. I feel bad. I do remember that. I do, because I remember that whole situation. It was tough. But I remember, there was times too where you were downstairs and you called me like, hey, can we come up? And I remember like taking care of you and coming up every time. But the same thing, I heard a lot about you as well. And your parties had all the chicks, and they didn't need to be in Pomona. They were just coming to your party.
All the drama.
But it's good entertainment back then.
Yeah.
All the drama.
I remember there was a lot of, back then it was MySpace was the big thing, right?
Yeah.
And you guys did a lot with the MySpace party, and we did one like prior to O Lounge opening, and then you guys kind of had it at O Lounge, and bro, those things were crazy. Like it was just like, and it was like if you weren't there, then you're pretty much not cool. Like it's like, and it was so funny because MySpace at the time was so interactive with everybody on the island. Everybody knew each other through MySpace or seen each other on MySpace. And all these import models and all these go-go dancers at the time that were so popular on MySpace were now in a club with you. And Brad, it was just such good fun and good vibes. And the scene for import models and cars, I don't know if it's like that now. It doesn't seem like it's that strong, but back then it was. And I guess like when Tokyo Drift and all that shit came out, it was like kind of interacted with it, but that was such a huge scene back then.
Yeah, we were. I think right when that nightclubbing boom was right during when like Fast and the Furious was coming out and everyone was working on their cars. I think there's a good revival happening now, just because for 1 year everyone's been tweaking on their cars. Really,
oh, that makes
see what
sense.
all the other friends are doing, but back then, because there was no social media, because everyone just didn't have their friends were into cars, so they all hung out doing car stuff. And I mean the MySpace, the club events, and the import scene just all tied into each other perfectly. So when these huge car shows would come in from the mainland and throw their event here, we do an after party, and everyone would come in, and that would be a good cycle of people to come in for a couple of months, and the next car show comes in, and you kind of revamp your crowd with new people, and it was cool. And you got to see this. You could be a fanboy or fangirl, see these import models that you only see on screen, and they're going to be in the club with you. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, and it was cool for us because your guys' events was either a Friday or a Saturday. So I could use some of your guys' go-go's that you guys brought down for our events. Because Shalene would always like set them up like, oh, Thad got an event on a Wednesday and a Friday. They're with Hanson on a Saturday. Like it all worked out. So it kind of took care of itself. And like it was just weird. Like we never got to work with each other at that time, but we were always interacting with each other, or friends and family were always involved with each other's events. Now that I think about it.
No, exactly. That's exactly. I mean, we definitely, and there's amongst the promoters and the nightclub scene, there's kind of a mutual respect between everyone, because everyone's doing the same thing, like we're all working for the same goal. And for our job, we're trying to promote a party. We're trying to promote good times. So, there's always going to be bad blood between certain people here and there, but amongst the real community of promoters and nightclub people, we kind of make sure that the talent got spread around, and you had them on these 2 days, I had on these 2 days, and we trade. But you're right, we never got to cross paths until way later. It's kind of weird.
But it was cool because it gave us a different party to go to. You know what I mean? Like, sometimes you're just not sick of it, but it's like you see the same people at your events and you want to kind of go intermingle at somebody else's thing. It's always good fun to go check out. You had a partner at that time too, right?
Yeah. I had a previous partner from the O Lounge time, and then we were doing, he was actually an intern for the club, and I brought him onto the company just because he was doing a lot. He was hungry, but now we had a big falling out. But other than that, I mean, it was cool.
And then you kind of ran the promotion by yourself, and then you had help with Pono and Brian, who eventually moved to Vegas and just took Vegas over.
No, for real. I mean, so proud of those guys. I mean, I had a business partner. I mean, we had a UH student that interned for the club, and he wrote a letter to the O Lounge saying, "Hey, I'm a business major. I need intern hours." And then I don't think anyone wanted to deal. They wanted the free labor, but they didn't want to deal with him. So they said, "Hey, Hanson, this guy's gonna follow you around." So for a good 6 months while he was trying to finish out his internship and stuff like that, he was pretty much following me around, and he didn't really have much to do. So then he would follow me to my own personal events, and he just wanted to help out just because he was kind of hungry. And then this business isn't for everyone. It's a lot of time the money and the fame and the notoriety and people trying to call you for guest lists and, hey, you're the man now, and that kind of gets to some people's heads sometimes, and unfortunately, I mean, I don't know how he's doing now, but at the time it all kind of went to his head, and he started trying to make moves on his own, and it was good because we had a good separation. I really started taking to account how business oriented I have to be, because at the time I was just throwing cool ideas out and just doing them. That's I think the funnest part of our job. Like, we can think of idea, and we get to, in about a month, we get to make it happen. We get to create that vision, it's super cool. And we got to do some cool different things. And once that other partner left, we brought in these younger guys who were like Pono and Brian and Reese, who, I mean, the greatest guys. And they were just young bucks. They were like 20, about to turn 21, and they just wanted to be around the nightclub scene because, they're just graduated. They're working a construction job, and they're just busting ass for 9 to 5 and sometimes later. And they just wanted a break from all that and coming to the club where they can to meet their import fantasies, like they're just soaking it up, and they were really cool guys. And by the end of it, these guys that couldn't even pass out flyers to people on the street because they're so ashamed of interaction. I mean, by the time they left my company and they moved on their own to Vegas, I mean, now they're one of the highest grossing promoters out in Vegas. My biggest thing for when I was with Pono was with Tao Group. I saw him bump Jermaine Dupri. Like, to me, like, I don't know if I'm a hip hop fan, and Jermaine Dupri is like one of the guys that kind of founded a lot of rappers I like. And like, this is like I don't say idol, but like I looked up to this guy. It's like Jermaine Dupri is JD, and I watch him bump him. It's like, oh, I'm sorry, we're busy. We got another table coming in. He's gonna spend more on you gotta go. And I'm like, oh, he just bumped Jermaine Dupri. Like, oh, you're the freaking man. If you have that much power to like control the economics of the club, like, I was just proud of him.
Yeah, it's crazy. I got some Pono and Brian stories. Okay, the first time moving forward, like, we did an event with you guys. First time I ever kind of hung out with Brian, and he's just a silly kid. So we're at Chai's with our first event together as part of Passport, which we'll get into later. But so we're taping something up, and this is the first interaction I ever had with Brian. He's using duct tape, so he peeled off a piece of duct tape and put it in his mouth to hold while he's putting something on. And he pulled the duct tape out of his mouth, and it ripped his lip, and it started to bleed. I'm looking at him like, what the fuck is wrong with you? And he's like, I'm bleeding. I'm like, what happened? He goes, I taped my mouth. And I was like, what? Like, who does that? And to go from that first moment that I met him, and when we would visit him in Vegas, and he would stop everything for us. He would come pick us up from our hotel, take us to dinner, put us around the craziest parties in Vegas with the like NBA stars. And it was just to see the person that I remember taping his mouth, ripping his lip off, to running one of the biggest clubs in Vegas was mind-boggling. Like, like it was crazy. And for Pono, he probably had the nicest hearts in the world. And the first time I met him, we were promoting at Empire.
Yeah, and I remember.
I didn't know who he was. He came up to me and he said, "Hey, Thad, I'm Pono. I work with Level H, and I heard we're gonna collaborate with you guys. And I just want you to know it's an honor, and I'm excited to work with you guys." And he gave me a hug and he said, "Let me buy you a drink." And from that moment, me and him had a good connection all the way to when they moved.
Yeah.
And I don't cry much. And I remember we were promoting Paparazzi, and the next day they were leaving, and he came up to me in the parking lot, and he had a gift for my daughter. And then he said, "Oh shit, I'm getting emotional."
No, but for real.
So then he gave me a hug and told me goodbye, and I fucking lost it. And he lost it. And then I lost it, and I was like, yep. I don't really cry that much. And he got me, and I was like, this guy got me. And then of course we went to Tao to visit him, and it was the same thing, like VIP, all the drinks. It was like, we're in Vegas, the biggest club. And these two guys who we seen come up through you, bruh, I was like, Hanson must be so fucking proud of these, because I'm proud, and these are 100%. Your proteges. No, it was just super cool to see and to experience, and to know that you put them on that path. And like you said, the biggest promoters in Vegas. Vegas is the biggest spot to party in the world. You know what I mean? It definitely must have made you feel good, because it made me feel good.
No, definitely. I mean, they I don't want to take all the credit. They're hardworking guys, and like you said, they're just genuine at heart, and they would have been successful no matter what they did. I just maybe nudged them in a way that exploited their natural talents, more than they would have other places, But you're right. Honestly, Pono and you are manly men. You guys don't break, And when I hear that story, I know exactly what you're talking about, because that's the kind of heart both you guys have, So when that moment comes, you put you two together. Like, I could see how emotion can get, because you guys are both good dudes, for real.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah,
that one was rough. Right in the parking lot, crying like little girls. I'm holding some kind of present for my daughter.
A doll for your
yeah, I was like, On the outside, it would look pretty suspect. But yeah, it was cool to experience those two guys, and they always take care of us.
Yeah, I remember that Empire night. I think was that Mikey. Mikey was there.
Yeah, that was his club. Too?
Yep. See, I remember. Okay, so I knew Mikey and I knew you. So I remember telling Pono and Brian, like, hey, we're gonna. I think this was after our first meeting at Aaron's. I think it was Aaron's. Yeah, it was
Sorrento's.
Or Sorrento's, the top of the eye.
What happened at that one? Yeah, top of the eye.
Yeah. So yeah, to backtrack to that one, like that was the first time, like after our paths crossed, you know, that whole DJ Betty story, and like we both didn't have venues, and we both didn't know what to do, you know.
Oh, wait, let's bring up that story. Yeah, that's one of my favorite stories. Okay, so back up a little bit. We'll get to that one though. That was a good one. When we were at Hush, it was our last night. We were promoting at Hush, and I think I asked you to collab with us, and I remember that conversation too. And it was the same genuinely Hanson telling me no. It was like, I regretfully declined. That's what you told me. Because we like Hush was just a rough place to promote, and we were just looking. And you said I respectfully declined, and it wasn't time for us to be together to promote. And we ran Hush by ourselves, and it ran its course, and it was time to be done. And it was our last night. We did our last night, and I remember sitting outside of Hush, and our DJ at the time was DJ Betty, and she came out, and she was our resident. She's my left-hand man, our girl. And she told me, so what are we going to do next? And then at that time, usually when we're leaving a venue or an event, I already have something in the pocket chambered, ready to go. This time I didn't. And I was sitting down by myself, and she asked me, and I'm like, and I knew she was asking because she knows that she needs to work. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, you know what, Betty, I really don't know. And at the time I was kind of bummed out and just frustrated. And one of our employees we had to kick him out, or we were on our way to kicking him out. It was a bunch of crap. And then I told her I didn't know. And she looked at me and she goes, Thad, I believe in you, and you always figure it out. And then she went back in to DJ. Now that I think about it, who was DJ when she was out there? Her infamous smoke break.
There you go.
Yeah. So she went back in, and maybe like less than a minute after she went in, I was just sitting on the curb, like right outside Hush, and my phone rang, and it was you. And you're like, hey, I heard that it's your last night at Hush. Can we meet this week? I got an idea to pitch to you. We got to collaborate. And I'm like, yeah, let's do it. And then I was like, yep, I'm down. And then he said, okay, I'll call you this week. And I'm like, okay, shoot, perfect. And then I went back into the club and seen DJ Betty working. I'm like, yeah, I figured it out. We're good. We're going to work with Hanson guys.
Yeah. So
on your end, how did that work out?
You know, that our stories merged. So that night, we were doing Stage, which is the Inspiration Building, the Stage restaurant.
Yeah.
They used to, once in a while we're doing nightclub events in there. Or was this before? This was before. So before anyone got to do a nightclub event there,
you guys were the first.
We were the first.
Yeah.
So we pitched them. The place is spectacular. I mean, it's a 5-star restaurant. It's in the super modern building, and they have like a wine bar where you can do the swipe your card, and they have an ice bar. So it was an idea. It felt like Vegas. So I was like, I need to do this place. I pitched it. I see the vision, and they weren't ready. Just put it that way. They weren't ready. And it was at the tail end I was at O Lounge for like 3 or 4 years doing my events. And when that closed, which kind of closed suddenly, I had to immediately find just like you, I had you always plan to be somewhere before you leave somewhere. And we didn't have that because everything was so abrupt. And then I did like one quick party. It was my birthday party. I had to cancel my O Lounge birthday party and do it the W for 1 week. And the second week, I was trying to organize this event at the Stage building. And it was kind of like I had a 2-week gap. So, and I looked at the place. I was like, this is going to have a long run. It's a beautiful spot. So I was at Stage and we jammed. We doing like 1,000 people, or 800 to 1,000 people in there. And the place opened at 10 o'clock. Nightclub event started at 10. They ran out of Crown and Patron at like 11. They were done. They didn't have enough glassware for everybody. And because it's a furniture building, the AC was on a timer. So at 11 o'clock, the AC shut down. And you have 1,000 people in that place. It's uncomfortable.
Oh, yeah. Without
and
AC.
Then, right, for real. So then at that moment too, the staff said, the manager said, we can't go on. There's not enough alcohol. We don't have enough glassware. The AC's out. We're going to have to cut it at 12. I was like, dude, you have like 800 people in here that just got here. You got 200 people trying to get up to come into the place, and you're trying to close it down. And honestly, all the details were hammered out all ahead of time, but because of another partner I was working with, another company I was working with kind of didn't, follow through on some stuff. And it's just not the way I usually work. And then at that moment, the elevators was on a timer. So the elevators went down. So now the manager had a fob key to operate the one elevator.
Yeah, it's one elevator.
It's just one elevator up and down. Now there's 800 people trying to get down. When you get down, there's 200 people trying to come up. We're trying to tell you got to go home. And then I remember just being man, what is going on? Like, this is not how we do parties. Like, this is not, everyone's gonna have a bad taste. I hate disappointing people. I want people to like enjoy themselves, And I was just, but it's a nice spot we can recover. And then we walk around the corner, and then where I was waiting in line for the elevator, and I remember a group went in, and the lady put the fob and she pressed to go down, and then there's some drunk girl on the outside pressed the open button, so it was about to close, and it opened, and we're like, oh, can you not press the button because it's gonna open, right? And it's all local girls inside, and then the door's about to close, and the girl presses it again, and the door opens, and she's like, oh, if you press it too soon, like all the local girls are trying to explain to this other girl on the outside, if you press it too early, it's gonna open. And she said, oh yeah, I get it. And then it's about to close again. This girl presses it one more time, and it opens, and all these girls jump this girl on the outside. And I'm like, oh man, this is terrible. This high-end place is not gonna ever let us back, and there's too many problems. And I told Pono, I told Pono, Brian, and Reese, like, there's a stairways in the back. Let's just get out of here. Let them figure this out, and we'll figure something out. So I went downstairs, and it was still early. I went downstairs, and it's like 12:30, and we're sitting on the curb outside of stage. And like, what are we gonna do? Like, we don't have anything planned. What are we gonna do? And then I either Pono or Brian says, oh, it's Dad's last night at Hush. Is it time to collaborate? I was like, bro, that's perfect. And that's when I called you. And that's when we made the call. And it was literally the same thing. Like, we were in a spot where we didn't know what to do next. We thought we had something lined up, and it completely fell through. So it was meant to be.
So if stage was raging that night and everything went smoothly, you wouldn't have been able to even think about calling me.
No, exactly. And it worked out for the best, honestly. And bro, we threw some crazy parties after that. So after that, we decided to throw something together, and then that's when I told the boys the next weekend we're gonna go visit you. You're doing like a one-off party at Sorrento.
Yeah, we did.
Top of the eye at Sorrento.
Yeah.
So I said, hey, this guy is cool. Like, he's a professional in the business. He's doing things awesomely, and and so in my head, because I had a lot of respect for the AGN
artist
group, because Artist Group Network. I used to go to your events. You, Golden Child, I used to go to your events, and you guys threw some swanky events. Like, it wasn't just a night out, it was an experience. And that's kind of what I try to model everything after, So I was telling the guys, like, hey, this is a top-notch company, because we were still relatively new. I've done O Lounge, and that's pretty much it, So I just had great ideas. I had a good following, but
and you're trying to expand.
Yeah, I was trying to expand. I was new, but you guys were doing it for a couple of years ahead of us, doing huge venues, lining up huge artists. So I was telling the boys, this is the big leagues, man. We got to make, we got to be respectful. We got to, show them what we got, but also like we got to, put our best foot forward. And then my very first meeting of you is I was calling downstairs. They let me upstairs, and the door opened, and then you had your shirt torn off halfway. That was my first time ever really officially meeting you. Like,
that was a bad night.
And then just like they had this girl fight, but the party was raging, so it was and it was memorable. And I told the boys, we're gonna do an event with this guy.
Yeah, I got punched by a girl. I had two girls beefing in the back. One got kicked out. They ripped my shirt, and then you guys came up, and I'm just like, "Fuck, what's up, guys?"
I know. I was like, oh, hey, thanks for inviting us. Like, oh, take care of your stuff. And I know I don't want to say their names. I know the people that are fighting. So I was, hey, he has these two awesome chicks fighting over, and that's kind of crazy. And then I just remember when we kind of just stayed for like half an hour. We said hi to Rue Dog. We said hi to the regular, the couple people. And then we went on to the next spot to say hi to everybody else. And then for that night, we could bounce around. But on the way down, I was like, we're going to do an event with this guy. That was the best. Just memories.
Yeah.
Everyone tries to make memories. So, I mean, whatever. That's why. And then I think he had another pop-up event while we were planning ours. Because we didn't get to really meet you. You had your drama that night. So I told the boys, hey, we're gonna go stop by, say hi to Mikey, and Dad has a helping out a night.
And I think that was Nikki Sotelo birthday.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, it was. And then we're gonna say
Empire.
we're gonna say hi to Nikki. So I told the boys, hey, Dad's gonna be there, make sure you say hello. We gotta every time you go to somebody's house, I always make sure you say hi to the owner. That's respectful. So I told him, say hi to Mikey, say hi to Dad. And that's why when you brought those stories, like I remember those two moments vividly.
It's weird to hear like your version from the other side versus my version. Yours seem way nicer. But that spawned us working together, and that created probably one of my favorite events, and one of the events we always talk about redoing, and probably one of the hardest work-wise and creative work-wise events that we did, and that was Passport.
Yeah.
How do you remember Passport? Like, how did that even start, and what was it like?
Yeah,
it was just
I was trying to figure it out in the last
ruckus.
Since you've been asking me, like I was trying to figure out our timeline. So my photographer Steven Byrne, big up to Steven Byrne. He's been shooting with
shout out to brother Steve
since day one, and he keeps a detailed record. So I know why I said no to you for the collaboration at Hush is because we were doing a once a month at Hush. I don't know if you knew. We were doing
yeah.
We were doing like every other Thursday, like twice a month or every first Thursday. And it's rough. That. It's a rough venue. I love the venue, love the owners, but it's just where the place is, where the parking is, where it is in Waikiki. It was just really tough for people to get to. So I remember when you asked, I was like, oh man, I don't know if we're gonna pull our eggs into this one spot. So I remember that. So I was looking at after Hush, I think we were starting to plan for our Passport. That was our big idea, right? When we started to collab with each other. And I think we did one event together on a Saturday at Hush.
Yes, but that was part of Passport.
No, it wasn't it before. It was a Saturday. I just looked it up.
I remember that.
We did an all-white party at Christmas break. I think we called it Pristine. So
I remember that.
And it was just like, hey guys, a Saturday popped open. They gave us like a crazy
that's right. Yeah.
Or something we couldn't say no to. So we're like,
yes,
well, might as well do it while we're trying to plan this thing that's gonna take a lot of time, because when we came up with the idea for Passport was, I think we were all just sitting around just brainstorming, and we just decided that, instead of having one spot, what if we move the party around and made people not get bored at one spot? So that was the idea of Passport. So I just remember throwing that one party, and we had a good amount of people show up for that random 1 week to promote Saturday. So I was like, wow, this is going to work. I kind of had the feeling that it was going to work. And then the idea for Passport, like we'd move it every Friday, we'd move it to a new spot. And I think that was a really great idea. And it was fun to plan for. It was fun to prepare. I think we did Chais. We did Spada.
Oceans.
We did Oceans.
We did
and then
we did Fashions.
Oh yeah, Fashions. I know we had like every month, when the month that had 5 Fridays instead of 4, we did destination days, right?
We did Kochi. Remember Kochi?
Yeah, we did Kochi. That was crazy. Oh man. I think we tried everything, which is good. I mean,
we were even gonna do the Chinese restaurant on Keomoku, right? Or Kalakaua. What? And then I forget. We had a meeting with somebody, and we went upstairs.
Oh, it was Mandalay Bay, right? Mandalay Bay in Chinatown. Is that the one?
No, it was by Waikiki. And then you told them how much people were gonna bring, and they're just like, "Oh, I don't know about that." I think it was like I forget where it was. I forget. Yeah, like on the same road where Safeway was that Keomoku? Not
Kalakaua.
Kalakaua.
Kapahulu.
Kapahulu. Yeah.
Kapahulu.
It was upstairs. I think it was a Chinese restaurant.
Was it Sham Choi's? The old
might have been that.
Or Hing. I think it was. I think we liked it because at the time the people were kicking people out of Waikiki. Like locals couldn't go to Waikiki. So we like do the front end or the back end.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that was our very first event together, like officially, was Passport. And I mean, because of the synergy, because of the idea, and something that was kind of brand new to Hawaii, I mean, we did really well. And venues kind of tried to make us stay at one spot because their one time a month raged out. They could like pay rent off their one time a month. So they kind of and we got, I think we got coverage in the paper, and right when we got coverage in the paper, like 2 months later, we settled down at Oceans. I think that's what it was.
Yeah, they bought us out. They offered us a full-time gig there every Friday. But Passport was fun, and like I said, it was challenging for us to move the party every Friday, and I think both you and I, one of our favorite venues was Spada, which was an indoor-outdoor right in downtown. And it was a restaurant, but we opened up it was like
it's a courtyard.
Yeah, courtyard in the front.
Courtyard in front of the restaurant at the first Hawaiian building. Downtown. Yeah, I mean,
off Alakea.
Yeah. That's always the funnest, to turn something that's not supposed to be a nightclub into a nightclub.
But to have it an indoor-outdoor nightclub with
indoor-outdoor, two floors, and that waterfall. I just remember, like in the daytime you couldn't see it, but at nighttime you could like, oh, this could have potential. I remember we put the DJ in the water, like floating around on the water. It's super cool. I think everyone was describing it as that Dr. Trey Sprite commercial or whatever it was.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, good fun.
But Passport got us the gig at Oceans, and that became Oasis, and we collaborated with Brian Furious Styles. And honestly, that's where we gelled as a group. And that's when we became something super big and super strong. That Friday party, Oasis, we were there for what, 4 or 5 years? Like,
yeah, about there. Yeah.
And it banged every Friday. Like and we had a 4 o'clock, so we could go to wherever, and people, like, we'd have 2 rushes. We'd have the first rush and then the second rush. And that, like, Oceans was probably one of our most lucrative events that we collaborated together. And the amount of crazy stories, and talk about Steve, like his hard drive must be crazy from Oceans. Like that might be evidence in some instances.
Him and Hoppa have probably blackmailed all of us.
Taylor, Taylor's from his videos.
Yeah, from the old school videos, and all the footage from Steve. You're right. I think that was just the time us spent like honing our craft, moving a party every single week to a new venue that got us the skills. Once we got like Oceans, which is a full-time nightclub, wasn't a restaurant that we turned into a nightclub. It had everything we needed. I remember like some spots where we had to like for a whole hour, we're just moving furniture. Remember those days?
Yes.
But just to make it so their customer experience, so when they walk in, it feels like a nightclub. But I think Oceans was a full functioning nightclub with a 4 o'clock venue. I'm sorry, 4 o'clock license. And I think having me, you, and Brian at that spot because Ocean's been around forever. That's been a nightclub until it's HPU now, which is so strange.
It's weird, bro. I kind of it sucks.
But it's been a nightclub forever. So us like being in a spot that's been genuinely a nightclub for a long time just was a perfect synergy of all this energy. And we threw some crazy parties, indoor, outdoor parties, fashion shows.
Oh, that's right. We did
that whole courtyard like that. Those are everyone's with
the row bar.
Those are crazy times. And you're right. Before, like nowadays, 4 o'clock places don't get busy till like 12:30. But those times, like there was a line at 10 o'clock, and By
Yes.
11 o'clock, our guest list line was around the corner every single week. Good times.
Yeah, that was fun, and honestly, that's where our friendships got super solid. And honestly, the club stuff is cool, and we always work good together. But the relationships we formed outside of the club is what matters the most, and that's what's gonna count after we're never in the club again. You know what I mean?
100%.
And
100%.
to me, that's the venue that created the friendships. And look at all the friends that we were with now because of those events. It's kind of cool to think about.
100%. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think doing well and not doing well, like the ups and downs of trying to make us things successful, and the late
losing
nights,
venues.
losing venues, or just some crazy stuff
owners.
Battling with owners, or just like sitting on a couch for 3 hours trying to figure out a name of an event. You build relationships. You know what I mean? Like you kind of think the
hardest part.
Yeah, like what starts with O? That means like, like you trying to be as creative as possible. And when you have like 8 dudes sitting in a living room trying to figure it out, you're gonna make memories. That's just that's us. It's hilarious.
It's funny because like we've done a lot of events together, but when we're in meetings with owners, it's cool to be in there with you because I know how you're going to approach it. You know how I'm going to approach it. And we know how to vibe off the owner and make our deal and make it beneficial for us. I mean, other than Edo, which at rock bottom, which our first business meeting with him just ended up to be a drinking fest and a handshake and it was done deal. Yeah. That's kind of wish how all of them would, or Mikey was like that too, but
they're not all like
business.
That.
Doing business with you has been also a learning experience, and it's also been a good team effort because we know each other so well that it works, and we have our best interests, and like I'll back your play, you'll back my play. It's always been a good thing. And like all the concerts we did and stuff, every time I put up the banner, it has Level H, AGN, it just matches.
Yeah.
And it's always got to be that way or I'm not going to be in this business no more.
Same here. I mean, it's like a lot of our time is spent doing this. So if you're not enjoying the people you're around, and not enjoying, but the time you're giving up from your family, your kids, or stuff like that's kind of important. I mean, but it is important. Like if you're giving up that to do this, you want to make sure that this is freaking going to be worth the time, and everything we did together has been a life-changing memory or a lifelong friendship. And it's 100% worth it. Definitely.
It's crazy. And I learned a lot of parenting through you. And one thing I always tell you about that always stuck with me, and people don't understand. People think, oh, you're a promoter. It's so much fun. You get to party for a living. And I remember being at your house, and I think my daughter is still a baby. And we were getting ready to go flyer UH. Yeah. And you were getting ready to come in my truck, and we were grabbing all the flyers and stuff. And your son, who is a super little, who I can't believe is in high school right now, is fucking crazy. But he was little, and I remember him going by the window going, "Daddy, when are you gonna be home? Where are you going?" And you're like, oh, "I gotta work real fast, and I'll be back." And I just remember like his look, like he was just kind of disappointed, but he understood. But I always thought like people don't know how much you sacrifice to do this. People just see the end product, the big party. Yeah. People don't know the work, the sacrifice, the headache, the dealing with owners, the stress when the guest list isn't big. And like, it's just, that made it real for me because I just had a baby and I'm thinking this is going to be me in couple. And how you handled it and how you handled your relationship with your son, I always looked up to that because it was coming. I knew it was coming for me and I had to be the same way or it wouldn't work. So I always respected and learned from you. And by the way, you also taught me how to change my first diaper. I remember that. You came to visit me when Ario was born and I had to change. And I was like, what the hell do I do? And you're like, oh, I show you. And bro, you taught me how to change my first diaper. And like, that's something I'll never forget either. But you've been an example, not as a business, but as a parent. And to me, I looked up to you a lot, being that we're in the same industry because you were in it at an earlier period of time and you navigated throughout a trials at that moment, and I could learn from it. So that was kind of always super special to me.
I appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, I think everyone knows from knowing you or watching you on in social media that you're an awesome dad, and I learned a lot from you as well. Yeah, I remember that situation. I think it was we were trying to flyer for one of our concerts, either a Lolale or birthday bash or one of those, and I remember him saying that, and yeah, it's tough. I mean, because you're right, people still have a perspective of what a promoter is, you know, and they only see you hanging out with girls and drinking drinks till late at night. But you know, like I was like the guys that work for us are around because they're the ones that can handle that kind of lifestyle. And I always pay them. I only pay them 10% of what we make at the day of, because I pay them for 90% of what. If someone can't make it that day, don't worry, you're gonna meet doc pay 10%, but it's still gonna get paid 90 because people don't know that 90% of the work happens before the club even opens the door. You're making flyers or passing out this or meeting the owners for this or that, coming up with a drink special and redoing a flyer because something's wrong or another sponsor jumps in and you got to promote that flyer and creating a MySpace event, an Eventbrite. Then also you're getting text messages all times a day, nonstop from morning till night about, you know, like, hey, Hanson, does Zanzibar have a dress code? I'm like, I'm not even there. It's a Thursday night. Like, what are you asking me for? But you got to answer because you're their connection to the nightlife, you know? So, you know, our family time gets, we work on every single holiday and every single weekend, which is when our family's off, you know? So I always tell, like when I had my guys with us, we'd have a family appreciation day. We would make money and we would treat our parents to dinner and we'd get together and we do it because I know I'm like, hey, I would always apologize to your parents. Hey, I'm sorry that he couldn't make Labor Day, or I'm sorry, you know, your son got to work weekends, but you know, he likes doing it and he's doing a really good job. And, you know, this is our appreciation to you. And either, you know, our other halves or whatever, like, our kids, they see it, but they also know at the end of the day that you're doing it for them, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember that for one moment we were doing the last birthday bash at the show and your dad came.
Yeah.
And I seen him walking around, and so I walked up to him and said, Uncle, you must be proud, huh? Like, Hanson's doing big things. And like the look on his face, that pride was super cool. And I knew that he knew that I seen it in him. And I always remember that. And I only met your dad a few times, so like he could resonate with me, and like that was super cool. And I knew he was proud. Yeah,
that's awesome.
If they knew half the shit we did, they probably wouldn't be proud. But those moments, they probably would be.
True, very true, very true.
So shoot, like we've been doing. Let's see, we did Oceans, then we went to what was it? Clubhouse, which was the old Hard Rock.
Yeah.
We went to,
which was awesome, by the way.
Yeah, I like that venue. I was so happy to do that venue with you.
Yeah.
I think that venue and W were like the two ones I really wanted to do with you, and fortunately we were able to
do both.
Shoot, I mean, we did so much.
Tsukiji's, that was a big one too.
Oh, Tsukiji's was a long one, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's when, I think there was like a couple waves in our but that's Oceans and Tsukiji's. Once we moved from Clubhouse, which raged, which I was so happy for, because you know, people thought, there were some critics that thought it's because of the venue was doing well, not because of the promoters, you know. So when we moved our entire crowd to Clubhouse in 1 week. And
the venue we were at previously had to close by 11, and their whole staff came to visit us.
Yeah, you know, and I was glad we raged out a sushi / redone Hard Rock in 1 week, you know, and I was so glad. I mean, I thought, 800 people showed up, and I was super happy for that. But then that set up Tsukiji's, and because we did that, we proved that we could do any venue, and Tsukiji's was a restaurant, it was a buffet, another buffet restaurant. Yeah. But it had the great look of a nightclub.
Yeah, they definitely had a nightclub feel to Tsukiji's.
Yeah. They had the bones for a nightclub. You know what it was? Is us moving all those chairs and tables again. All those bringing sofas. People don't see that. Although the chair's not like that. We have to move, 400 or 500 chairs and tables into a separate side room, and then carry down couches from a second floor stairwell and set up VIP couches.
That's
So
right.
people don't see
Yeah,
that.
we would bust our ass for
So,
Tsukijis.
yeah. And that was every week. And that was for a couple of years also.
Yeah, because that was a full restaurant.
Yeah.
A full buffet restaurant.
Yeah, exactly. So it had nothing but tables and chairs. So yeah.
Shoot, but at the night of the event, while the event was going on, you wouldn't be able to tell it was a restaurant unless you looked over the thing and seen all the chairs piled up. But it looked like a nightclub.
Yeah.
That venue is super good. Danny Kim was a good owner too. I enjoyed him as an owner.
Yep. 100%. It was one of the only owners that gave us a bonus.
A Christmas bonus.
Christmas bonus. And I was like, what is this? It's so weird. Over there, like, it's 0.2%. You only get 2%. You know, like,
you missed it by 1%. We can't fuck. Oh, whatever.
Yeah, but I mean, we got bonuses. It's, usually hard owners have the nicest clubs, and easy owners have a challenging club. So it's kind of good with a good owner kind of merges with the easier venue to promote at.
And one of my favorite, I mean, wasn't the most lucrative spot, was Fix. And at the time in my life, I was just coming out of a situation and it was just a good fit for me. It felt like home because Mikey was the owner of that. And the staff there was our friends, but very supportive and all aloha. And I was in your house every damn weekend, living at your house every weekend. And we go to Fix, and Fix with Mikey, pretty much we didn't have rules. He had a lot of nook and crannies all over that building where you could hang out and do stuff. And Mikey as an owner, he's an owner second to being our brother and friend first. And that's why probably the event wasn't as successful, because we were just having fun. But those moments doing Fix helped me so much and meant so much to me. But every first Friday, it was always a big party.
It made up for all the slower non-first Fridays. I guarantee Mikey paid us on some other Fridays when we didn't make money, but he wanted to take care of us 100%.
He always did, bro.
That's the kind of guy he is. He just wants to make sure you're okay. I remember that.
And out of respect for Mikey and what he did for us, we named our newest event at District Fix Fridays. And honestly, that was out of respect and aloha to Mikey, and shout out to Mikey, right? He's always had my back and our back from day one. And Mikey, he always believed in me personally. Like, he always believed in me and whatever I did, and he always wanted to be around us and have us working with him. One of my coolest friends. Yeah, definitely.
100%. He's one of those ones where a great owner met with an opportunity for a great place. And I remember us doing first Fridays with that garage door open in the whole second room. I think that's
I was just looking at a video of that. Had Taylor Hopperboy DJing, and had Yumi and Cherry, and that stage was huge. Was it? Yeah. And that it was packed all the way. And I'm thinking, like, at first I looked down, I'm like, where is this? And I looked and I'm like, oh shit, that's Fix. I forgot it got that big.
Yeah, when you open up the doors, like a concert in there sometimes.
Yeah, we did a concert there. Yeah. And bro, it was fun. I mean, we had some good fun at Fix. And then which led us to District. And District right now is the only club pretty much. And fortunately, the owners believe in us to keep us on, to help promote their Fridays. And bro, we had a long run at District too. We've been there for what, 5 years?
Since 2016, so 5 years.
Minus the pandemic year.
I guess minus the whole year. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
But I mean, District's been fun, and this past month, we had to reopen, and brought a vibe there was just super infectious. I had so much fun, and like to feel that feeling and to be around the club industry, and honestly, like my years are numbered. Like, I'm not going to be doing this forever, and it's getting to I'm in the back nine of my career. And to have that feeling and vibe, and to be around you and Hoppa and Donnie and just our crew, and it's just, it goes to show, like, we withstood the the test of time.
Test of time, yeah.
Yeah. And our friendships always was first before business. And fuck, we still can rage out a club.
Yeah, you're right. I'm pretty soon to hang up my coat here, because we're definitely in our back nine of our career as a promoter. I mean, no one wants to be that old uncle creepy guy in the club.
Yeah,
you know.
At least
so,
we look young.
Yeah. For now, I'm feeling okay. My knees, I don't know.
Some of my fucking friends' kids are coming in, and I'm just like,
Bruh,
wait a second.
Exactly. As soon as I hear
Hey,
one more
Uncle.
one more Uncle Hanson, bro.
Kick this fuck out.
Yeah, 100%. They're no longer on guest list. They say uncle.
Yeah, for sure. But because of your club ventures and your business savvy, you're doing other things. And honestly, I've never been more proud and stoked. And to watch you pull triggers on this just got me motivated to even be talking to you now on this podcast. Your actions motivated me to make actions. And that's one of the reasons why we got going and got this podcast going. And you created, first off, from the club industry, you got to do Hawaii Events Unlimited.
Yeah.
And brah, like the videos you guys post and the things you guys do. And I met your partner, and brah, he's such a nice person. It just, you and him just can tell the vibe is going to be, it's just going to accelerate your guys' success. And it has been. And to see the stuff you guys do, I didn't even know that shit exists half of the time. Like Hawaii Events Unlimited, what is that all about? Like, what do you guys do with that stuff? Like that company is pretty super cool.
Yeah, it's a full event production company. We do everything from small little events to huge concerts and things like that. Our main staple is weddings. We do a lot of weddings, but we also do proms and graduations and events for the Chamber of Commerce, things at the convention center. So we try to put all your event needs all in one place. And I kind of got into this situation where I got this opportunity, because honestly, we always help each other out. And for the last maybe a year or 2 years before I got this opportunity, you're like, Hanson, what are you gonna do, man? Can't be in the club forever, and you saying it in a nice way. The gentle nudge is kind of, it makes you think about it, and I think you as a person do that for a lot of people, and you can see the potential, you try to push them a little bit, so for me, I always got comfortable doing nightclubs, because throwing events is kind of what I'm good at, so, but the nightlife, there's a number of years you can do it. After that, you no longer can do it. You're no longer cool enough, not say cool enough, just no longer, you're too old to do it, really. It's not as your demographics, you can't relate to the crowd you're trying to promote to. So for the last 2 years, 3 years leading up to the opportunity Hawaii Events Limited, you're constantly like what's your plan after? You got to figure out something, and I always remember that, because at first you're like, man, I feel kind of bad, but at the same time you get motivated a little bit to start searching for what else you want to do next, and this opportunity.
Well, I was just worried because if okay, I retired and you're gonna be on your own, or say this club closed down, or it's just the stability wasn't there, and like you just mentioned, we're getting older, and you want something solid and with you can do after the clubs. And this was 100%. A perfect match. And
100%.
I was so stoked, so stoked.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out possibilities of what to do next, and then my girlfriend Sonia, she was like, "Yeah, you think you should do weddings, because you're event planner. That's pretty much what you're doing. You're organizing all these moving pieces to make one event happen." And I was thinking about it. I'm like, yeah, I think so, maybe possibly. Then I realized that's kind of stressful. This is their one special day. You don't want to mess this up. So I was kind of really hesitant. But then I was starting to look around for other event planning kind of jobs. And then DJ Flip, who's also owner of Hawaii Events Unlimited, I found out they were looking for a marketing person for their company, because they got it to this level and they wanted to go a couple steps beyond that. And I heard of the company because I'm following them on Instagram and on social media. Like you said, they're doing things that normally Hawaii sees 6 months later after it's overplayed in the mainland, and we get the kind of leftover ideas, But this company was kind of doing things I've never seen. They're doing visual effects or having these huge stage productions at a regular event that no one really does in Hawaii. So I was a really big fan of them. And then I found out that Flip was involved. And then I found out all the DJs we used were involved, and all the MCs were they worked for that company, and all the technicians that I knew in the event industry already worked for this company. So I was like, it's like the nightclub in a daytime setting. So it was just a perfect fit. And I applied. I was like, hey, I could definitely help you with your marketing. They asked me to help out. And instead of asking for a salary, I told them, you know what, if I become a partner and I'll put in my effort in, if I can get a partnership in this, and whatever I do after, certain point, get a percentage of whatever happens. So it was awesome. I mean, it just coming up with ideas and things. And it's literally like a nightclub event, except I get to do it in the daytime. We're doing some really cool stuff.
Yeah. And it's definitely like you were the piece of the puzzle that they kind of needed, and they were the puzzle that you needed to be a part of. And right, it's like all your ideas and all your creativity just got bumped into that, and it's such a perfect match. And like I said, your partners are super cool.
100%.
It just, I could already tell, like, oh, this thing is gonna work. You guys are gonna do good things. And shoot, I've been to a wedding where you guys hosted. You helped me with my mom's funeral. You helped me with my daughter's birthday parties. It's like, it's amazing to see how far that that company's gone in the last couple of years through a pandemic, through like, right. It's like, oh, we could do this. We got that. You have like movie flip books that you give to people at proms. I'm like, who the fuck thinks of that? Like, that's crazy.
I mean, my partner Marvin, he's a genius. Like he has the technical know-how of making idea happen, really, and it's kind of like, it's just like our nightclub formula. Like, we want something to happen and we'll figure out a way to make it happen. And we all the ideas that we happen to have, like, we either go to a convention, learn the technology, buy it, learn it, do seminars or whatever, and do it before Hawaii gets left behind. We do it the same time the mainland does it. We have the Cold Spark technology. We're doing all the live streaming now. Like, it's fun. We got to do some really, really cool stuff. And we get to bring that nightclub element and the festival element, because I know one of our big things is proms. And we got to throw some crazy proms, right before the pandemic. I mean, this company was already doing proms, but they got some like crazy festival lights, like the stuff you see at EDC, and we have a lighting designer that does all the lighting designing for concerts, and we put that formula to give the students an experience, not just the prom, like something that they'll never forget for the rest of their lives, So
they'll always remember prom.
Exactly, So we put all our marbles into this one prom where we had like CO2 cannons, confetti cannons, the lights, and I was like, we need a character. So I came out in like a astronaut suit, and I had spraying them with CO, like I had a CO2 backpack. Like, it made it feel like an event, So, and their theme was like a outer space theme.
Oh,
but it kind of made sense to what they were doing. And then, we had I think it was crystals. We had, we had like all these festival feel like tricks that, promoters use. And we got it to their level. And now, like 2020 would have been our year. Like, we had 17 proms booked, and
jeez.
we got kind of went ham on this one part, and we had balloon draw. I just remember it feels like like that same feeling you have when you make an actual like an event on a nightclub level or a concert level. We just want to bring that to every event, whether it be a wedding or a first birthday or just make it so people can have a memory. That's mainly what it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's exciting.
All right. And I mean, Hawaii Events Unlimited is blowing up. Understandably, that because of the shutdown, you guys are going to kind of be paused up a little bit, but I have no doubt once everything gets back to going, you're going to probably be better off than where you was that you're on now. Last thing, bro, like this one got me fucking flipped out. And I talk about this on the podcast all the time because I am 100% true believer that your vegan katsu, which is made out of portobello mushrooms, is the best katsu on earth. And I don't know how you did this thing, because you do it out of your house and another kitchen, right? And it's crazy. So you started a vegan plate lunches, which is pretty much local plate lunches, but vegan
Veganized.
style.
Yeah.
How did you come up with this idea, and why did you even start it? Because I knew you always wanted to do a pho place, or you always wanted to do some kind of food, and right, you because of the pandemic, you pulled the trigger on this, and everybody's talking about it. All our friends eat there. Like, bro, my dad loves it. You gave us a big platter of that. Oh, bro, it was crazy. Like, how did you come up with
so Level V. So I've been vegan for about 5 years now, and there's a at the time there was a lack of local style vegan food, and I mean, like you said, I was talking about doing some kind of food place for a long time, and it's just an idea, and it stayed an idea for a couple of years, and then because of the pandemic shutdown, we couldn't do nightclub events, we couldn't do weddings, we couldn't do anything, for literally a whole year. So I needed a way to make income for tuition. Honestly, it's for my son. So I needed to come up with, tuition doesn't stop. The pandemic was happening, my business stopped, but tuition still got to come in. So I decided to do more like a fundraising thing where I created a veganized plate lunches. Started off with beef stew, and then was the loco moco, and then the katsu. So it was just a way to start off as a fundraiser, really. And the pandemic was as a silver lining in the pandemic. I know a lot of other businesses and my personal businesses suffered, but it got me out of my comfort zone to do something that I always wanted to do, and it just sped up the process. So it started off as a fundraiser. I needed to come up a few extra $100 to pay for tuition, and then it came out where all my friends bought the plates, and the next week they told their friends, and all my vegan friends decided to get a plate, and it just started getting bigger and bigger. And then after about a month, I was like, I'm going to apply for a business license. I got a support kitchen. I did the whole business route, and now it's selling out every week. It's doing really, really well. And the vegan community has helped out a lot. It's just a really solid community that helps each other out. You post for you, and they tell their friends, and it's also, it's like, to me, it's like just like an event. You're like hosting people. You want people to enjoy themselves, and so when I cook, I've never been trained in a cook. I grew up cooking. I liked cooking, but I was never formally trained. But it's just another way for me to bring a smile to a guest, which happens to be eating instead of drinking and dancing.
Well, how did you come up with the recipes and how to cook it?
So honestly, it was my son. My son, after about a year and a half of being vegan, my son decided himself to go vegan. And I went to a festival, and he was playing around. He was watching the videos, and he was, reading about stuff. And he came back. He's like, "Oh, Dad, I think I'm going to go vegan." I'm like, "You don't want to go vegan. There's no way." Because at the time he was 13 years old. And he said that he wanted to try being vegan. And I was like, and I know it's at first it's really hard. And especially at a 12, 13-year-old, I thought it's going to be really tough. So when I made him school lunches, when we have family parties or when we eat, I never want him to miss out. I don't want his friends to look at his lunch like, "What the heck are you eating?" I never wanted that. I wanted my son to have, as parents, you want the best for your kid no matter what. I'm a firm believer if you try to be the best parent or best father for your kid, you'll make the right decisions if you think about them first. And I was thinking, you know what, I got to come up with a better recipe. It's just trial and error, really. I've tried a bunch of different mushrooms trying to recreate flavors. A lot of people think people like to eat vegetables. There are some people that love eating vegetables. I just miss the flavors of what I grew up with, So I think my son has it easier because he forgets what things originally taste like. But for me, I grew up eating it. So I kind of want to have that feeling again, So whenever I eat something that tastes like something else, I'm like, "Oh, I remember that. So I want to try that when I make something else." And it's just a whole bunch of trial and error. And it's working out. I got a good feel on certain dishes, at least. And there's never been a local style vegan plate lunch place. They have Italian, they have Japanese, but just not local food. So I feel the need. And also, I think I did well because during the pandemic, people wanted to pick up orders instead of sitting down in restaurants because of hesitancy because of COVID. So I think it kind of worked out in my favor that people like the drive up, pick up, pre-order style where it's contactless, there's no lines. So it did well during the pandemic. And also, what it is, it's your podcast too. Everyone's listening, everyone's trying out because they're listening. I appreciate you, man. You've been shutting me out a lot. I appreciate it.
But to me, it's not even about vegan food. It's not about whatever. It's good food, and like who doesn't like to eat like good food, like vegan or not? And then like you're making a difference, and it tastes good. And at first, it's like, oh, I'm gonna support Hanson. It's probably not gonna be the. And I eat. I'm like, what the hell is this? It's like I'm always shouting that out because
I appreciate
it's good. And I had your vegan musubis and that wasn't good. The one you brought to my house and you're like, oh, it tastes like real meat. I'm like, like rice and cardboard.
Yeah, that was the year one being vegan. I haven't eaten a musubi in a year. When I ate that for a vegan, that was great. But you're right, it was still brand new.
But bruh, the food you had, and I had the loco moco. I was like, this is something you can get behind, and it's good food. Vegan, not vegan. If you like meat, you don't like meat. Either way, this is good food, and you'll love it. And it has that local plate lunch feel. And bruh, to have you guys come out and see your son bringing out the food, and it's just all that aloha on the side of the house that I used to live at every weekend. Like it's just good vibes. And I'm excited to see how you take that business and what you do with that. Cause I guarantee it's not going to be at your house next year. Like the moves is going to be, and we'll be there for all of that stuff and supporting all of that stuff.
I think that was the whole reason why we took so long to connect for this. I was just waiting for something else to happen so I could promote that or, talk about it. But I think because of all the different shutdowns and now I was going to do a pop-up too coming up, but I think because of the shutdown as of today, we might have to postpone that too. So, but, I think people they want more and it's been selling out and it's been doing well. So I think I got to take it to the next level sooner or later. So definitely have you try that out.
Demand is there, man. Your people want it.
Yep. And the good thing is that, and the thing is that most of my customers aren't even vegan. People just like good food and just want a healthier option, and if I can provide the same taste with less suffering in the world, I'm going to do it, So, and the kids, if kids like it, that to me is the ultimate. When a non-vegan kid likes my food, I'm like high-fiving myself as soon as I give the plate, I see the post. I feel great about it.
Because kids don't lie when it comes to food. If they don't like it, they ain't eating it.
No, exactly.
Yeah. Shoot, bro. We've been going almost for an hour and a half. I do know eventually we're going to do a Q&A because everybody's going to want to hear more club stories out of us. Like,
Guarantee.
Especially BBJ. But let's have the question of the week.
Before the question of the week, I just wanted to say, back in the MySpace days, I used to lurk on your Level H account because I had all the chicks. That's why I had all the girls. Me coming from the punk and hardcore scene, we never had the import model type girls. Artist groups we never had that kind of pictures, but Level H had all the pictures.
Level H had all the pictures.
Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Level H had all of us every time. Like when Ronnie them were running it was just pictures of us. Hanson had all the bitches.
Oh, it's good to finally meet the Mr. Level 8.
I appreciate it. Hey, I like your videos, man. Your videos are awesome. They're hilarious.
Your videos are the shit. Yeah.
And honestly, I like all events. When I was taking around my interns or my hires, we would go to all kinds of events. I mean, the same night we went from a raid, we went to a punk rock concert on, the very next day. Like I just love events, and I like how people throw their different kind of events. So when I see, stuff you do for like the punk scene and the rock scene and just the underground scene too, and like, having the archive of that stuff is people are gonna appreciate it later on. So I appreciate that, bro, for real.
Thank you.
And just a little tidbit. Somebody's bringing it back.
Nice.
Yes. 808 scene.
I have a question for you before you ask me. Are you doing the voiceovers for all your voiceover videos? Is that you? All the boy band ones? Who's is that you?
Those albums are from like 2002, 2001. That's why it's like super old. So it's like, I was very bored back then using Windows Sound Recorder.
Hey, that's dope.
Downloading off instrumentals off like Kazaa. Like
hey, you still have the files, right? That's super cool.
See?
That's awesome. That's clever.
Yeah. Okay, so having said all that, here's the question of the week. You guys talked about all the parties and promotions you guys done together. So for you guys, what's your favorite promotion you guys collabed together with?
Ooh, let's see. For me, I can't just name one. I would say, what was our first concert? Was Aloha Laulea or Major Raja?
Major Raja.
Yeah, I think one of them would have been our first concert together when we were at the Shell and we stood on the stage together, and like that was one of our goals that we had as promoters, to do a big event together, and that was with Ray Jr., of course. But that was a cool moment. But fuck, it has to be Passport, just because that's what brought us together. That was the hardest event to do every week, and it was fun, bro. And at that time, we were having a lot of fun, and Oceans was cool, Paparazzi was cool, like everything we did was cool. But Passport is what started it all. Passport is what challenged us the most, and Passport is what got us together to begin with, and that would be mine. Yeah,
I think I'll expand on that. So my favorite event that we collabed on was Spada, which was part of Passport. I think you nailed it on the head. I mean, all our events that we did has so much memories. You met some crazy, awesome people. I mean, District, Fix, Paparazzi, Tsukiji's, Oceans, all those are great. But you're right, it started at Passport. And I remember Spada, just because that was we're still new at working with each other. So I remember going to see The Godfather. Remember the Godfather?
The owner,
The owner. We called him The Godfather because it was this old Italian guy. We could swear he was mafia.
Yeah.
And he
had a big ring.
He had his ring the size of a golf ball. And I was like, Dad's like, hey, if you, for the deal, you might have to kiss that ring, you know. I remember every time I was like,
he's gonna junk it up, we gotta kiss the ring.
Yeah. Every time I was like trying to be professional, I tried to smirk because I see his ring. I was like, oh, that's the ring someone gotta kiss. But like just that,
and somebody broke the fucking ground over there too. And we had to tell them.
Yeah. Oh, that was so. There was that, and like us trying to work off of each other, and we sealed that deal. I mean, like we went in there, we pitched our deal, he accepted, but that was our first time where we were trying to, like, I say my point, he says my point, I back up his point. Like it just perfectly, it just worked so well, and no one had to kiss the ring. That was perfect. And then that party was in the middle of downtown, and if you know downtown, there's nothing around. You know, people are, and it's never been a nightclub, so it was really and to see that party rage on, people started walking over from First Friday, and they said they could hear it from First Friday, and people were talking about it on the way to, and for our friends to get there and realize, like, oh, this place is super nice, and it's in L&L's now. That's how it's not like a very place that's like known for a nightclub. So that's one of my favorite places. And then the ground, like we had so much people on the lanai, their stone ground broke. And I remember the next day, it's only like a half a foot drop, but a stone slab broke. And the owner tried to make us pay for it the next day. I remember that. And I was like, what do you mean? How are we liable for ground? We're not liable
pay for your ground.
There's no way. So I just remember that and just had some great memories there. And like you said, one of the biggest memories, profound memories, was our major rager that we did in Maui.
Oh,
and I remember us taking a flight, setting it up, and we threw a concert in an island not our own. And I remember putting up our banners, just taking back and taking a picture, and I realized, like, dude, this is like every promoter's dream is to either become a nightclub owner or to throw a concert. That's what you kind of, or move to Vegas. That's kind of what you kind of move up to, and for us to get to that point, and all the memories and all the things at the airport, and baggage and rent-a-cars and the little things to make that event happen. And to see our banners next to each other, and all the boys there, all the boys there. This was like a cruise control, and we were like kind of enjoying the moment. That was super awesome. That was super awesome.
That was super cool. Yep, definitely.
Yep.
We'll make some more, man. And with the capabilities of Hawaii Events Unlimited, I know that we can throw some crazy, stupid shit.
Yep. No, we have to. We have
the back nine is gonna be crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. Before we hang it out, we gotta do something super crazy in a spot that never knew could be an event, and that's what my dream. That's the final nail in the coffin for that nightclub career. I think.
I am down. I am super down.
Yeah.
All right, man. Well, shoot, this could go on forever, to be honest. But we'll do a Q&A and let people ask us questions eventually, and they're gonna want to know more club stuff. But we kind of kept it clean this time around. But so people can find you on IG, Level H for your club stuff, LevelV808 for your vegan stuff, and Hawaii Events Unlimited for your event planning and wedding stuff. Check them out. You guys got a website?
Yeah, it's on HawaiiEventsUnlimited.com. Has everything on there that you need.
All right. And for your vegan food, you got to order. You can go on IG. You can order on Monday. That's when you open the orders.
Yeah.
But that's to pick up the food on Fridays.
Yeah.
So that's kind of...
The website replenishes and available for pre-order on Mondays at noon, every Monday at noon. And that's for now, pick up on Fridays between 12 and 2. So set an alarm. It does kind of go out fast. And so set an alarm, and you can go to my Instagram. You can click the link in the bio at LevelV808, or you can go to our Square site, which is LevelV808.square.site. Yep.
All right. And for
just
us,
Google us. Yeah.
Yep, just Google you guys. For us, you can go visit BBJ at BBJ8, the letter 08 on Instagram, and go see all the crazy videos Hanson's talking about, because he puts out some funny content, and apparently he's a champion in multiple wrestling organizations. You can find me on IG, Thaddy Daddy Hi. Of course, our podcast, Above the Bridge Podcast. Our YouTube channel, ATB, actually it's Above the Bridge Pod, and our website has everything, all the audio, all the videos for all these shows, ATBpod.com. All right, man. We finally got to do it.
Yeah, that was awesome. I appreciate you, for real. It's been a pleasure.
You, man.
Yeah, I'm proud of you for sticking with it and getting your dream to do this podcast, because as soon as you were nudging me to do something after nightclubs, you were always talking about doing a podcast. So I'm proud of you for pulling the trigger and putting an awesome show together. Definitely.
Thanks. Thank you, Brian. And like I always say, if it wasn't for BBJ, I wouldn't have gotten this thing off the ground. And he's been definitely a blessing, and still too humble, but gonna blow him up eventually. Right on, Hanson. I love you, bro. You've been a brother, friend, and great business partner. And
I love you too, brother.
Yeah, I can't wait to see what the future holds for both of us.
Same here.
Sky's the limit, brother.
Guarantee.
All right, shaka to the cameras.
Aloha, guys. Thank you.
And shout out to the Artist Group Network. Peace.